Howdy folks, welcome back to the patch 8.5 test server with the mighty Jingles. We've had a look at the Scout Panther, we've had a look at the Leopard 1. It's time to take a look at the Leopard Prototype A, or just the Leopard A. This is the prototype version, as the name suggests, of the Leopard 1 main battle tank. And it shares a lot of similarities with the Leopard. Effectively it's the same hull. If you have a look, there's the Leopard A, there's the Leopard 1. I mean, there are differences, but you can clearly see that the one is the prototype of the other. The turret is the main difference. But armour-wise, I mean, the Leopard 1 had no armour whatsoever. 70, 35, 25 on the hull. It's exactly the same on the Leopard prototype. So you can at least go into battle in the consolation that you have the same armour as a Tier 10 medium tank. Yeah, sorry, that's not funny. This isn't a bad tank. It isn't as good in its tier as the Leopard 1 is in its tier, but it's not a bad tank by any stretch of the imagination. Like the Leopard 1, you should not expect, if you're driving around angling your armour on this thing expecting that to save you, you're doing it wrong. This thing, like the Leopard 1, is all about the speed and the mobility. Now, surprisingly, this thing actually has a better power to weight ratio than the Leopard 1. Leopard 1's power to weight ratio is 20.52, which is pretty good for a medium. The Leopard prototype, 20.95. It's not that much better, but better is better. So, that's interesting. And it is better because it weighs less. Simple as that. 830 horsepower engine on the Leopard 1, 40.5 tons. The prototype, it's the same 830 horsepower engine, but it weighs slightly less. That's probably down to the turret weight, turret and the gun, because the turret and the gun are the only real things that are different on this thing. So, what do you get for your money? It's going to cost you 172,800 experience to research this tank, and 3,450,000 credits to buy it. So it had better be bloody good for that price. What do you actually get for your money? Well, 1,650 hit points, which is not bad, I suppose, for a Tier 9. Let's have a look at the E50. E50 comes with 1,750. So, yeah, it's only 100 less. It's, it's your standard Tier 9 medium tank hit point ballpark. It's actually up at the higher end of the table, being German. It's quite light, 39.62 tons, even fully loaded with all the equipment I've piled onto it. And it does have a respectable engine, 830 horsepower. It's not the monstrous 1,200 horsepower Maybach beast of an engine that the E50 was designed to be fitted with. But then again, the E50 weighs 64 tons, so it needed that engine. The Prototype A, 830 horsepower, manages to do 65 kph. And with a better power to weight ratio than the Mark 1 Leopard, it actually reaches that speed faster than the Leopard 1. Because, it has the similar great off-road mobility design and an amazing suspension as the Leopard. So it is a very fast tank. It doesn't turn as fast as the Leopard 1. Leopard 1 has an absolutely mind-bogglingly good 54 degree per second hull traverse. The Leopard prototype isn't bad at all. In fact, it's bloody good, 42 degrees. Just bear in mind that these things turn faster than T50-2s. But you do feel the difference. If you've been driving the Leopard 1 and you come down a tier into this thing, you do feel that mobility difference. It doesn't turn as well, and it is noticeable. It's still bloody good, but you can't help but feeling slightly cheated if you've been driving that thing. Armour, yeah, forget it. Don't even bother looking at the numbers. The armour is crap. Even the gun mantlet will be penetrated by everything that shoots at it. You're getting in games and this sort of thing where guns that are firing back at you have got 268mm penetration. And if the front of your turret, the front of the turret isn't even as thick as the front of the hull. Going hull down is not an option in this thing. That gun mantlet will just get penetrated every time. Do not count on bouncing shots in this thing. And that's kind of disappointing because it does have good gun depression, as does the Leopard. Distinctly un-German gun depression to the front and the sides. To the rear, none whatsoever. And you can see just by looking at it that when you swing that turret around, you've got this raised engine deck at the back. It has no gun depression to the rear whatsoever. And that's a problem shared by the Leopard 1, as you can see, very similar design. As you'd expect, one's a prototype of the other. But it's a shame that it doesn't have much of a gun mantlet, because going gun hull down in this thing is not a terrible... Well, it is a terrible idea because it has no gun mantlet armour and it has no turret armour. If it did at least have a gun mantlet, then it would make that not a terrible idea. As it is, it's just bad. You need to keep moving, pop out, take your shot, rocket back into cover, or just keep moving, dodging, weaving and firing on the move. Now, when it comes to firing on the move, before we forget, turret traverse, 36 degrees, not bad. 400 metre view range, 750 metre signal range, fairly standard. Now, when it comes to firing on the move, this thing is not as good at it as its big brother at tier 10. And that's because of the gun. What's unusual is that, generally speaking, when you're looking through the tech trees, when a tank gets a gun, it's usually used, like the top gun on one tank is usually the stock gun on the following tank a tier higher, or available on the following tank a tier higher, and an improved version. It'll always have the same damage and penetration, but you tend to find that when you use the gun on the next tank, the aiming time and the accuracy are improved. Well, that's not the case here. The Leopard prototype has a choice of only two guns, and that's the 90mm KWK-54, which you got previously on the Indian Panzer. There it is, at tier 8. Or the 105mm Royal Ordnance L7A1, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's check the tech tree. Which British tanks uses the L7A1? Does the Centurion... Yep, there we go. Same gun as on the Centurion. I suspected there are differences. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. There's got to be some sort of difference. They wouldn't just give it the exact same gun. Generally speaking, when the Germans used British guns, they modified them in some way. Oh, great. Now, which is which? Oh, there we go. Yeah, it says there. Because they're both gun 105mm Royal Ordnance L7A1. Okay, there's the British one, used on the Centurion and the FV4202. And then that's what I mean. You know, you use it as the top gun on the Centurion Mark 7.1, and it's the stock gun on the FV4202. That's the sort of thing that you expect. But this doesn't happen with the Leopard. Now, it doesn't have the same rate of fire. It definitely doesn't. And this is the problem with the Leopard prototype. It's the rate of fire of that gun. The rate of fire of that gun, I won't say it kills the tank, but it lets it down. Because it has a slower rate of fire on a tank of the same tier as a British tank of the same tier using the same gun. Penetration and damage are obviously the same because it's the same gun. The accuracy is not as good on the Leopard. That's surprising. It's 0.32 accuracy on the Centurion. And the aiming time is not as good on the Leopard because it's 2.3 seconds on the Centurion, 2.1 seconds on the FV4202. But here on the Leopard, you're looking at 2.9 second. Is that 2.9 second aiming time, or is it 2.3? Let's put the matter to rest. There's the Leopard prototype. Yeah, 2.3. 2.3 is not a bad aiming time. It's not bad, but it's not good either. And the accuracy, 0.32. Well, 0.32 is bloody good. I mean, that's nothing to complain about. It's very, very accurate. It's mainly just the rate of fire and the fact that the aiming time means that you pretty much have to put vertical stabilizers on it to get the most out of this tank. And that's, again, you know, none of these are bad things. Just being able to mount vertical stabilizers is good. Not every tank can. None of these things are bad. It's not a bad tank, and I'm trying not to sound negative about it because I have enjoyed driving it, but there's just the one fly in the ointment, and that's the DPM, the damage per minute, and it's because of that pretty bad rate of fire. 5 rounds per minute is not good. That I don't have a calculator handy, but well, you can just compare the numbers. Look at the Leopard 1. Now, the Leopard 1, this is what I was saying, uses a completely different gun. instead of an upgraded version of this, which would have worked, if you look at the stats of the two different guns, I mean, the Leopard 1 did actually have the L7A3 gun, so, but you can pull the stats, you can make the stats up of the gun. This is a game. And instead of giving it, well, that's pretty much, you could argue that that's what they have done. It's a better rate of fire, which with the same penetration and the same damage, which vastly increases the damage per minute of the Leopard 1 over the Leopard prototype. And of course, because the accuracy is even better and the aiming time is phenomenal, just makes this tank so much better at what the Leopard 1 prototype is merely good at. And that's firing on the move and manoeuvring around the battlefield and just zooming around the place, running rings around your enemies and battering them to death with the firepower from that gun. And it's all down to the rate of fire. So I'm left wondering whether or not, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is not a bad gun at all. But the way you drive this tank, I mean, you could play it as a sniper, because that is the kind of gun that you would expect to see on a high-tier German heavy. If I could have that gun on the E100, I would die happy. You know, I could go to my grave a happy man. But I can't get that gun on the E100. Instead, they've put it on one of the fastest and most manoeuvrable tanks in the game. The Leopard Prototype A. And it doesn't really work. It works fine on the Centurion, because it gets a faster rate of fire and it's more accurate and it aims faster. But putting it on the Leopard prototype and nerfing the stats down, yeah. So I'm left wondering whether or not you should actually be using that gun on this tank, and should you maybe be using that one, the 90mm from the Indian Panzer, because the Indian Panzer gets a bloody good gun. Everybody knows how dangerous that thing is, the Panther II, with that monster 88mm gun. Well, the gun that the Indian Panzer gets, that 90mm, is better. It's either the same as or better in every category than the 88mm on the Panther II. And the stock gun on the Leopard prototype is that 90mm gun. And it just feels like more of a medium tank gun than the L7A1, or the version of the L7A1 on the Leopard prototype. So I've been playing with both of them. Let's have a look. So I had a couple of games, well, more than a couple. I had a lot of games in the Leopard prototype with the 105mm gun, and I don't know. I struggled with this machine and this gun. And I don't know if I was just... The thing about the gun is the DPM isn't great. It's very, very slow to reload. And this... I sensed right from the start this was going to be a frustrating game to play. Right from the start you can see the Leopard 1s. And I'm the only tier 9 in this game. Well, that's not true. There's a tier 9 in the other team as well. But this is just like tier 8 artillery, tier 10 tanks, and me in the enemy tier 9. And oh, great. So I'm keeping an eye on this Jagdpanzer E100, and I'm thinking, is he going to come through that wall? Please come through the wall, let me shoot you. But he's not having any of it, he's not that stupid. And there's practically nobody over here but me and an E100, and the E100 was a bit of a power donkey. So I realise I'm pretty much nothing. How the hell that one missed, I have no idea, but our artillery just nuked him. And that's pretty much what I end up being in this game, just a glorified artillery scout, because I'm damned to go out into that open ground. There's just too much. Wait till you see what's coming. Have a look at that Jagdpanzer E100 again. I figure, take its cover out. That one, see that something actually bounced off him there. Couldn't have been me. Here we go, T15B183. That guy can one-shot kill me. And I most definitely cannot one-shot kill him. And of course, here comes the artillery fire. No, don't support your heavies over on the other flank. Take a shoot at the only tier 9 on the enemy team instead. Yeah. Bloody typical. So I'm trying to spot this 215B, and there we go. Artillery is going in on his last known position. So I do know that if I can spot, artillery will be more than happy to kill him for me. And somebody is battering the crap out of that E100. He's on fire now. He's lost almost all of his health. He's still on fire. Premium server, a test server. They throw 20,000 gold at you, 100 million credits, and people don't buy fire extinguishers. Although, you know, I've forgotten to equip them myself when I've been on the test server, so I shouldn't laugh. And I should have been able to take a shot at this Leopard 1, but nah. Too worried about that guy. You know, I wanted to get stuck into the thick of the action, but I'm not going out there alone. It would... You can use... There we go. That's the shot I was waiting for. Thank you. Unfortunately, I have to do that to him 8 or 9 times. He only has to do it to me once. But keep him spotted for artillery. And speaking of artillery, there goes a dead drop. Look at that. See how far away that shot hit? Dead driver. There's no armour whatsoever on this thing. Now that Leopard 1, I should have been watching the map. I'm sitting here waiting for him to come out. He's not that stupid. I can have a shot into that 215B though, and I'll back up and look at the map. I didn't even see him coming. He knows where I am. Puts one into me, but it doesn't count on me having friends. Too aggressive. Brave, but stupid. Thank you, Mr. 4202. And artillery's given that 215B and 183 the good news. And he's the last tank they have left. After this, it's just artillery. And all we do is blow his tracks off. Well, you know what? Ramming speed. So this wasn't a great game. But can't really complain. I mean, I think I did the best I could do. You know, with this low reload on the gun and the fact that I was stuck out here on the flank pretty much by myself, just with a power donkey E100. Could I have done anything differently? .200 damage. Seriously? Well, this is what happens when I shoot at artillery. Low damage rolls. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to one-shot kill the guy anyway. He had over 500 health, but 200 damage? Really? Ugh. And it's been kind of like this, playing Leopard prototype, with this gun anyway. It's not a bad machine, but I just question whether or not this is the right gun to be using on it. It only has a choice of two, the 90mm or this. So let's give the 90mm a go. So here it is with a 90mm gun. And you know, this is the gun you're going to be using to grind on the tank in the first place. And again, it's the usual horrific test server matchmaking, where at least I'm not the only tier 9 on the teams this time. And I do like this map. However, bearing in mind I have absolutely no armour and I don't have what is technically the best gun, I'm going to play this one cautiously. I'm definitely going to play this as a second line machine, which kind of feels like a waste of the mobility of this thing, but this is a tier 10 game. There are tanks on the enemy team that can... Well, there aren't any tanks on the enemy team that can one-shot kill me, but there are tanks in the game that can one-shot kill me. And absolutely everything else can give me a really, really bad day if they hit me. So we've got plenty of Leopards. I'm going to let them go ahead. One thing the test server is not short of is suicidal fools in brand new tanks who think that they are unkillable. So I'll let them spot the targets for me. They're faster than me anyway. Off you go. And I'm going to put the rate of fire of this gun, because this is a decent gun, the 90mm. It's a decent gun on the Indian Panzer, and it's got a rate of fire, so I think it's what, 10 rounds a minute? It's pretty bloody phenomenal on this thing. And there's our first victim, which I miss. And there's our second victim, and I feel a bit dirty for doing this, but... and I've got the rate of fire here. Get the kill. The rate of fire is really, really good. And the aiming time and accuracy ain't bad either. The one difference that you're going to have to get used to is it's not firing APCR as standard. Well, I say you're going to have to get used to, until you get this far up the tree, you're not going to be driving tanks that have APCR as a standard ammunition choice in the first place, so you'll be used to the travelling time of the shells. And the tank, look at the speed. I mean, it's no Leopard 1, but it's certainly not slow. Misjudged that shot. Oh, look at that. Ammo racked. I so wish I'd got that shot. And the other good thing about using standard armor-piercing ammo instead of APCR is, of course, the fact that it doesn't lose quite as much penetration. It doesn't have as much penetration to begin with. That's, you know, credit where credit's due. But it doesn't lose penetration with range as fast as APCR does. And the DPM with this gun is better than the DPM with the 105. Of course, and that's the old argument, of course. People say, well, the DPM is better with this gun and that gun. And yeah, but the DPM is, that's potential DPM is better with such and such a gun. In order to have effective DPM with whichever gun. And I'm trying to blow the tracks of this T95 off, by the way, just in case you're wondering. You have to penetrate. Now, hitting the target is not a problem with any of the guns on the Leopard prototype. But you do undeniably have worse penetration with this 90mm gun, but it's not bad. It's perfectly adequate. The team's starting to rack the kills up now. The guys who went down into the town in the southeastern sector of the map just played like rock stars. Now it's up to us to cap and intercept anybody coming back to try to reset the cap. And 1650 health, I haven't taken a single point of damage in this game, so I'm going to get up here and intercept anybody coming back to reset the cap. Leopard 1 up there, we've already established these things have no armour. I absolutely can hurt him. So he's been forced to back off. And we've got a team killer, of course. Test server, what can I say? We've lost the last of our holding force in the town. All these guys are coming piling back trying to reset the cap. They're not going to do it. I think that IS-7 spotted me yet. Trying to hit his lower glaciers. Oh, blew his tracks off. Oh, he's seen me. Yeah, I don't want to get shot at by IS-7. I get hit by the IS-7 anyway, but oh hello. T95 needs a bit of help. Missed my first shot, but the rate of fire on this thing is so good it does not matter. Very, very grateful T95 there. There he is in chat. Yep, we're capping quickly. Still need to hold these guys off. Put that speed to use, get around the flanks. There's only 3 of them left. We know where 2 of them are. Oh, and there's the Foch as well. IS-4. Ah, just went low. Never mind. Oh, he's YOLOing it. He knows he has to reset that cap. He's charging in. Can't let him do it. And that did look like... That shot that just whistled past my bows there did look... Oh, Mr. IS-7, really? What was wrong? Was he trying to ram me to death? So, yeah. That 90mm gun is not bad. Which is just as well, because it's the gun that you're going to be using on the tank at first, whether you like it or not. And it's definitely a viable alternative to the 105mm gun, even when you've unlocked the 105mm gun. It changes the way you play the tank. You can play the tank more like a proper medium, a proper German medium, a proper, American medium. That kind of style, with the 90mm gun, more so than with the 105. And it just depends entirely on how you like playing your medium tanks. I get the impression that the 105mm gun, you guys have been driving Chinese medium tanks, those tanks that tend to have the choice between the medium tank gun, like the 85mm or the 100mm, or the heavy tank gun, the 122mm gun. You guys have been driving those Chinese tanks with the big heavy tank guns, are probably going to be right at home with the Leopard prototype and the 105mm gun, because the only difference is you're not going to have any armour. You're going to have that to get used to. But on the bright side, you'll actually have gun depression for once. So you're probably going to be right at home driving the Leopard prototype with the 105mm gun. Everybody else, you may find the 90mm, even when you've unlocked the 105, the 90mm is still, I'm not going to say the better gun to be using on the tank, but the kind of gun that you're more used to driving on this kind of tank. Right, here I am playing with the 105mm gun. Actually, it's quite generous matchmaking. Tier 9 game. Hell, there's even a tier 4. What the hell? Is he a scout? Let's have a look at that poor bugger. Yep, T50. Oh, fair enough. Scout matchmaking is scout matchmaking. We're here on Airfield. I'm in my Panzer Leopard prototype. And I have had a difficult time with the Leopard prototype and this gun. It doesn't have very good DPM. The damage per minute, because the rate of fire of this gun, it's a good gun, don't get me wrong, it is a good gun, but the aiming time isn't as good as the gun on the Leopard. The rate of fire is pretty poor. And that's why I'm wondering if the 90mm might not be the best gun to use on this thing. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to personal choice. This gun certainly can work, and you can certainly do a lot of damage with this gun. But I think you kind of have to use it as a mobile sniper, rather than as a flanking, brawling medium tank. I mean, like the Leopard, it certainly doesn't have the armour for it. But with the Leopard, whereas you can use that mobility to be a proper flanking medium tank, with this thing, I think you're going to be better off using the mobility just to rapidly relocate and use the accuracy as a kind of a very fast Tiger, for example. Just, pick your shots with more care than I did that one. So good start. We've nailed their tier 8. Or one of their tier 8s. They have lots of tier 8s. And you can see this is not. That guy over there, that is not how you drive a Leopard prototype. And you do see this time and time again on the test server. People just using the speed of these things to get themselves into trouble. It's a lot like watching people drive Hellcats or T-49s for the first time. I've definitely, with this gun, had more success driving this machine as a fast relocating sniper. With the 90mm gun, you can get away with playing it as a sort of brawling, not really brawling, but as a flanking fast medium. This gun, it doesn't, it's not really suited for it. Although, you guys driving the Chinese tanks might be able to prove me wrong. Because the Chinese mediums have the same sort of thing, if you like, as this. You know, those Chinese mediums have the choice of... Oh, actually, no. And this would be silly. And you see people doing this all the time on the test server as well. They'll pop out, they'll take a shot, and then something will have them ranged in, and they'll pop straight back out at the same spot again and just take a shell right in the face. Look at this. You're not the mighty Jingles. How the hell that one missed, I have no idea. Of course, I fired, gave my position away. The M103 corrected his aim. Took advantage of it, put one into me, but that's all they're going to get. That's all they're going to get in this game. Here he comes. Took his tracks off. Well, my shooting was not great in this game, but it was good enough. Looks like his tracks are still off. I'll take that shot. I know that one hit. Yeah, it did. Down to 333 health. And who to go for? Finish off the M103, chase after the Leopard prototype. M103 looks like the easier kill at the moment. And if he backs up... Oh, he's backed up. Thank you. Good night. Now go after the Leopard prototype. Because he's another one-shot kill at this stage. And it's kind of like playing as a wandering assassin. And I think that suits the tank very, very well. Oh, IS-8 killed the... Yep, okay, no problem. Anything else left to kill? There's a tortoise over there looking very, very lonely. Just taking a big hit from somebody. And yeah, doing this with the tank seems to suit this gun very, very well. Just rocketing about looking for... It's kind of like playing a French autoloader, except without the autoloader. Zooming around the place, looking for stuff that's low on health. And just punishing them. And then using that speed to get the hell out of there and pop up again from a different angle, a different direction. And the kind of map where the terrain allows you to do that, you're going to be really, really good in this tank with this gun. And I think the gun choice is going to come... Both guns are equally viable. It's not like this is the best gun on the tank and you're just grinding out with the 90mm. The 90mm works really well on this tank too. Doesn't have the same penetration, doesn't have the same punch, but it's got a much, much better rate of fire. And yeah, scumbag artillery suiciding because the game's lost. Yeah, happens on the live server, happens on the test server too. Yeah, the 90mm, much, much better rate of fire than this gun, certainly. And a much better rate of fire on this tank than on the Indian Panzer when you first get it. And the penetration is adequate. And the accuracy is good, and the aiming time is good. So, which gun to use on this machine? It comes entirely down to personal preference. So, Leopard prototype, Tier 9, new German medium tank. It's a good machine. It is a good machine. It's nowhere near as good at Tier 9 as the Leopard 1 is at Tier 10, but it's not bad. And how you're going to play this thing is all going to come down to the gun choice. The DPM of that 105mm gun is bad. No question about it. It's just, it's bad. Which means that you were pretty much a one-shot wonder in this thing. Zooming around the place, taking your shot, and then getting the hell out. And I think if you try to play it more as a really fast Tiger tank that doesn't have any armour, and just play like a wandering assassin. Just zoom around the map, get into a position, wait for your shot, fire, get the hell out of there. It'll work quite well. Or there's probably people out there who are just absolute genius drivers and can actually totally make my eat my words and play the thing just like the Leopard 1 successfully. But it's going to be hard to do because it doesn't have the DPM. 5 rounds per minute is just, it's bad, bad, bad news. On the other hand, that stock 90mm gun is perfectly adequate. It has double the rate of fire, and massively improved DPM over the 105mm gun. It's all about whether you want the alpha damage or you want the sustained DPM. And you, as I said, you Chinese tank drivers know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're probably going to be right at home driving this thing. It doesn't have the armour that you're used to having, but at least it has some gun depression, and the gun depression is really, really, really good. So the Leopard prototype, new tier 9 German medium tank, it's not bad at all. It's only going to serve to whet your appetite towards the joyful scrumminess that you're going to experience when you finally graduate from this to the Leopard 1, because the Leopard 1 is like this, but with good DPM. So there you go. I've certainly enjoyed driving it, and it's not a bad tank at all. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.